Hey, greetings, friends. Jacque Howard here. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes of your time. Whatever amount of time it is, I appreciate you coming and sharing it with me. Please share this with others if you enjoy it, and make sure that you give the folks who I bring to you, the other human beings who are doing some amazing things, often things that I have no skill set in. Make sure you reach out to them and give them some shine and let them know that you heard about them through me, through Trenton 365, WIMG, Mercer County Community College, or any of the other outlets that I have. With that being said, I have my friends from Passage Theater. Now, bear with me because I've got a whole crew of them and I'm expecting more. But that's the good thing about being involved in community theater, being involved in civic engagement, being involved in building relationships with an inclusive mindset. So on the call with me, I'm going to do ladies first. We've got Caras Jonsson, who's going to talk a little bit about the marketing, about some of the programming that takes place at Passage Theater, and David Lee White. And many of you may know David from years ago and his affiliation with Westminster Presbyterian Church and all the youth theatrical performing arts, especially playwriting things that are happening in Mercer County, especially here in Trenton. He's going to be talking about the Passage Studio series that he is a part of with Bradford, and Rich will be here in a little bit. And then, of course, Brishen, the guy who is the executive kind of all this, bringing all this to some sort of semblance of a wonderful song. So I want to give Brishen first. I'd like for you to just introduce yourself for those who haven't met you in your new role at Passage Theater. And then can you pass it off to Cara, and she can share a bit about what's going on, and then we'll bring in David and Rich as well.
Thanks, Jacque. I'm Brishen Miller. I'm the managing director of Passage Theater. I was promoted into the position in January this year. I started off as a production manager and producer for Passage in the summer of 19, back when the world made sense. And I am very happy to launch this new initiative with Jacque and Trenton 365 and talk about the educational programming we have, the studio school that is open for ages 16 and up, and to give everyone the chance to explore what theater is and all the different parts of it, and get beyond the fact that there is just one thing you see the actor on stage, because this every company is a company, and everything that goes into running a business is required in theater as well as everything else. No one better to talk about that than our marketing associate, Caras Jonsson.
Oh, look, I'm going to jump in here because that was a smooth transition. And that's the wonderful thing about recording stuff, because like when you have artists, you just kind of feel it and you just flow. So for those of you who are watching this and hearing it, what just happened was absolutely magical, and it was totally not planned, but that is the wonderful thing about theater. Go ahead, Cara.
Great. Well, thank you. So my role here at Passage is multifaceted. I refer to myself as a multi-hyphenate artist, which means that I'm an educator, an administrator, and a artist, a theatrical artist. So at Passage, I wear a couple of hats. I am currently the marketing and engagement associate, which means that I get to work on the number of promotional materials and community outreach that we do here at Passage. We partner with many community partners here in the city of Trenton, but also in Mercer County. And additionally, I am a teaching artist for Passage. So I have 2 classes this year as a part of our studio school, which I'll talk about in a minute. And those classes are our scene study and audition technique and our artistic lab. And so the studio school is a professional development opportunity for artists who have already established themselves, but also for people that are just looking to get their start. Something that we know about Passage is that we create magic when we bring communities together. And so we believe that every opportunity, every piece of programming that we create is an opportunity for us to bring a variety of communities together, whether that be a brand new theater artist and someone that is a seasoned veteran, or whether that be someone who's never been to a play before and is walking in the door with a season passport holder. There are plenty of opportunities to be involved, regardless of your familiarity with theater. We want to make sure that Passage truly has an open door policy. Anyone is welcome. We are open every Friday from 10 to 6 p.m. regardless of our programming, just for folks to come in and get to know the space and to feel comfortable in our space. This year, our season is Foundations for Our Future. So each show talks about how we can learn from our past to build upon our future. We have this coming up opening on October 13th, Blues in My Soul. Then the timeless classic Told in a New Way, Christmas Carol, December 9th through the 11th. And then finally a co-production and a world premiere musical authored by David Lee White and his writing partner, composer Kate Brennan. And that will be a co-production with Rider University, and also have a weekend here March 10th through the 12th here at Passage. And that is called Clean Slate, which is a very exciting opportunity. I just want to touch back on the studio school as I get ready to transition things to David. But the studio school classes that I am a part of are, like I said, are scene study and audition technique, which allows new and seasoned actors to improve their skill or get their basic training. And that is co-taught with Ryan Dominguez, who is the artistic director here at Passage. And then additionally, in January, we will have an opportunity for folks to take my artistic lab class. This is a 4-session class for folks to learn about the business of art. It is my belief that as artists, we also need a full, well-rounded perspective. We need to be entrepreneurs and passion-driven and professional development individuals. And sometimes that is a little bit hard to find those resources. It can be, the waters are a little muddied there. And so my class allows students just to break down the simple questions like, how do I afford my life as an artist? How can I maintain my creativity, but also maintain my rent? But also exploring deeper concepts of what does networking look like? How do I build up a reputation? How do I continue to progress as a multi-hyphenate artist and market myself in different ways? And so this class is available for ages 16 and up, and signups are available now. And I think I'll go ahead and pass it off to David, if that's okay.
Oh, you will, but give me 1 second, because I'm going to give both of you guys some kudos. Again, that was fantastic. I kind of think I could have just gotten off the screen and just let you two record the whole thing here. But you explained so much. Thank you so much for the details on that. But I do want you to touch on First Fridays a little bit,
sure.
and what that is as well.
Absolutely. So at the first Friday of each month, Passage has its doors open from 6 to 8 p.m. for an opening reception for our lobby gallery. So this is co-curated by a number of local artists, and sometimes we have some guest curators as well. And from, like I said, 6 to 8 p.m. on the first Friday of each month, we have new artwork that is local and surrounding New Jersey artists are able to showcase their work. Typically, the shows are themed after whatever we have going on in the Playhouse. So this Friday, today, from 6 to 8, we will have Universal Language, which explores all the different aspects of music from an visual arts perspective. And then we will have a more holiday-based show in December. And then we'll take a little pause for the winter, but we'll be back in the spring to explore the themes of clean slate in visual art.
Fantastic. Kara Jonsson, marketing, wearing multiple hats, teaching, educator, et cetera, at Passage Theater. Thank you so much for your time. Look forward to chatting with you in the very near future.
Thank you, Jacque.
And you're welcome. Blessings. So David, it's now time for you to chat a little bit. I'd like for you to talk a bit about, first of all, a bit about your history, man, because you've been doing this for quite some time in this region.
Yeah.
And then I'd like for you to talk about like the relationship building and how that all culminated to where you are now as a teaching educator here at Passage Theater for Passage Studio.
Well, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for remembering that I've been around for a while. You know, you never know if people are going to, and it is it's so great. I find myself very fortunate to be. Even though I'm part of the last group of leaders that was part of Passage Theater, I find myself very fortunate to be able to continue my working relationship with them. I find that they have continued the kind of work that we were doing and even surpassed. You know, gone beyond the things that we were doing and are doing things that we could not have even dreamed of at the time. And Trenton is just such a foundational part of who I am as an artist and a human being, and it's just a part of my personal history. And so I'm so glad to be able to continue this. And one of the people that I met in the past several years through Passage is Rich Bradford, who he and I co-wrote the shows OK Trenton, as well as Janet Wide Awake, and we just love working with one another. We have found that, you know, we found a real rhythm in co-creating things, and he can write about things that I don't know how to write about. and by putting our heads together, we found that we really worked well together. And so I got my start doing a solo show from the years of presenting solo performances at Passage Theater and seeing those and deciding to do it. And Rich kind of started his relationship with Passage doing his solo show. And so I think Ryan and Brishen both thought it was kind of a natural thing to kind of put us together to teach this class. And he and I were on the phone just recently, and our shows are very different, our approaches to it. He has this one-man show about Fred Hampton, where he really dives into who Fred Hampton was as a human being and embodies him on stage. My show is about myself. I don't play another character. It's autobiographical, but we found that in talking about them, it's still very personal, whether you're playing yourself or whether you're playing someone that you idolize or admire. It's really still about taking your own personal feelings and your own personal experiences and putting them on stage. So we're really interested in kind of bringing the things that we've learned and the exercises that we've come up with and being able to impart them to students in the class. So and I see that Rich says he's here.
Yeah, well, we'll bring him in as soon as I get that chance. All right, here we go. He's coming in. And I'm going to bring everybody up on screen. And this is the cool thing about doing independent media. Because you can do this. Because, if I had an earpiece in, they'd be like, no, we can't do this. We can't do that. But we can do this because we're a bit independent. And folks, if you're tuning in for the first time, you were tuning into Trenton 365 or Jacque R.E.A.H., which is being broadcast and brought to you independently through one of the amazing outlets, whether it's WIMG 1300, Mercer County Community College, WPHY, one of the internet services, Black Cannabis Television, or even Hub 13. But if you're listening, we appreciate you, and make sure that you reach out to myself, follow us on social media where you can see all the links for my guests that I bring onto the program. And with that being said, we got Rich Bradford over there. Hey, Rich.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. Just to bring you up to speed, with where we are. So we've been talking for a little bit on this interview, and Cara has left, and we've just started getting into talking specifically with David, and he was sharing about the synergy that you and he have in your writings and in the work that you do, and how nice it is to work together. And then he was had just finished saying that you're writing from two total different perspectives, but for whatever reason, it works for the both of you. And he was saying that in this Passage Studio series, that you're embodying Fred Hampton, whereas his is autobiographical. And that the note that I literally was writing down when he said you came in was, what is the interpretation of the feelings? And I say that because David was saying the same thing about what you're doing with Fred Hampton, but he's doing about himself. So that is the art and the craft of being a performer in my eyes. So that was going to be my next question. But Rich, I'd like for you at least to share a little bit about who you are, and then just jump in and talk with David about this Passage Studio series.
Okay. Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, my name is Rich Bradford. I'm a playwright and a resident teacher, teaching artist with Passage Theater, and Dave and I we've worked on a couple of projects together, and the chemistry together is just really amazing. Because like Dave said, we kind of approached the script from like two different angles. And
All right.
more
so what we're gonna Rich,
deeply close visual type place. Huh?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I'm not sure if you're moving, but you're
type place. Oh, did I go in and out?
Yeah, so let's see if you can stop moving, and I'm gonna let you get situated, then we'll bring you back on. David, maybe you can slide in and interject. I think that Rich was probably saying something very similar.
Yeah, I think that as I said, as Rich just said, we come from different places, and this the studio class about solo shows is really about helping the artists in the class generate their own material, their own solo show material, either like Rich has done with a historical figure or even a fictional character that perhaps they want to create, or someone that they admire, but someone that is a reflection of who they are as a person. Or you can do what I have done, which is, literally taking non-fictional personal stories and telling a story about yourself. Um, and I think that that is how our two very different but very compatible points of view will kind of come into play in this class. Is you'll be getting both sides of it. You won't just get, hey, I want to do a show the way David would do it, or hey, I
Yeah.
want to do a one-person show the way Rich would do it. You're going to have a lot of different options and a lot of different, we're going to give you a toolkit of things that you can kind of choose from. You do the kind of solo show, start working on the kind of solo show that best suits you as an artist, as a performer, or if you've never done anything like this before, just to try it out,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rich,
And
let
what's
me jump
amazing,
in there, Rich.
I was going to say, and what's amazing about that process is that the hope is that they can actually combine all the tools together and perhaps come up with their own formula for how they want to present their stories. And I think the important part to what we're trying to show them is the necessary need to get whatever their story is that's inside of them out and onto the page, and why is it necessary to speak these stories to the world, because even with David's piece, there was something necessary about his piece that he needed to say out into the world. So, he connect to it on a very personal level, as well as the Fred Hampton piece. I felt as though the message that Fred Hampton had was very necessary for the world. And plus it affected myself culturally as a Black man. So I connected to that personally. So it's like whatever story it can be, it could be two squirrels playing in a tree, but what does that mean to you? Bring it to the room, and we can expand on that, you know.
With that being said, I'd like for you to both talk about the importance of exposing theatrical arts and what that is to young people, and also to those folks who are a little older, the seasoned population who think, oh man, I'm too old. I wanted to do that when I was younger, but I'm too old now. Can you all speak to them into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is never too early, nor is it ever too late to start activating yourself in some kind of art form. I mean, Rich and I are both involved in the performing art forms, although the same is true for all art forms, whether it's visual art or the musical arts or anything. But I think that a lot of times we get kind of blinded by the idea that in order to engage in this work, you have to have some kind of God-given talent, that you have to be able to just step into the process and be perfect your first time out. And it's just not true. I don't know who came up with that myth, but even people that have been doing this for decades are never perfect, ever. And I mean, I would speak for Rich. Rich is closer to perfect than I am, but I am speaking for myself. I mean, I feel like I fumble the ball far more often than I catch it, but you just keep putting it out there. You keep working and you keep doing it. And it's important because not only are you doing things that are important for your own self-perception and your own understanding of yourself, but you're sharing things that there are other people in the world going, hey, me too. I think that same thing, and no one's ever said that out loud before. And so, you're really starting a communication. So it's never too early for kids to do it, and it's never too late for older folks to do it. I'm starting to be an older folk myself. So I hope it's not too late.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I love what and this is part of the reason why I love working with Dave. Is like he he helps me look at certain things about a script, and we work on it to change it, because the script is always changing, and it's never perfect. So people come to the process with this idea. It's like you're gonna just write this perfect script from the right from the door, and that's not what it is. Writing is a muscle, and the more you work on it, like any other muscle, the stronger it's going to get. And it kind of reminds me of something that Will Smith said. He said, "I may not be the most talented person, but I will work harder. I will work so hard. Like I will run you off the treadmill if I have to. I will die on the treadmill." So, talent doesn't, I always think that talent does not uh, outwork hard work, and effort. So I think if people work hard and they have like the tools and the techniques to build a story, after a while, I mean, you will become, a good writer. They say the first thing to become a writer is to write. So you gotta start somewhere. And some people just don't know where to start. And coming to this class, they'll learn, where they can start from, because we're all walking around with stories.
Yeah. By the end of this class, our goal is that everyone in the class has 10 minutes, 15 minutes of a project they have started, that they've worked on, and they're well on their way to creating their own show. And we're hoping, like in the last class, we'll be able to do like a showcase. Get everyone together and everyone will perform for one another. And
Mhm.
and it'll be a real celebration of this process.
Yeah.
Brishen, I'd like to bring you in and share a bit from your perspective as executive leadership of the theater. The idea of how young is young or too young, and how old is too old, et cetera, and tie it into the Passage Studios here.
Sure, sure. I think David and Rich have made some really excellent points here, that about the myth of talent and what it takes, and that there are methods for all of this. There are methods and ways to learn to be a performer or to be a writer, and that's what we're looking to offer in the studio school. Is that you don't need brilliant memorization skills or wonderful stage presence. There are concrete methods to learn how to write and how to perform. Anyone who has the interest, and like Rich says, the hard work, can get into this. And so these classes start at 16, and 16 is not too young. We have an internship program at Passage where we're now employing the teenagers who started our internship as independent contractors. So it's not too young. There is a pipeline for that, and some of our designers are older than anyone in this call. So it's not too late. And it is very often that an artist in theater is so multifaceted in terms of what it takes. So if you take this class specifically, the solo performer, you're the performer, you're the writer, you're your own director, you're deciding what the set looks like, you're deciding if you want to be outdoors or if you want lights or if you're doing a costume change. And so it really brings into all the disciplines of theater. It's very common for someone to start off as a designer and then later become a director. For example, to switch tasks within theater. Like I've seen Rich and David do at least 3 different roles in the theater just in this past year. And so we really want to show that the opportunity there doesn't need to be the talent myth of gatekeeping, that you have to be so good to achieve a result. If anyone saw Janet Wide Awake at Hedgepeth Middle School for the Arts, most of those kids had never seen a theater, been inside one, let alone been on stage, and they were in a professional production. They acted. Some of them were the stage hands. They worked in a professional production. This can be taught. This is available to anyone who has the interest. and willing to put in the work. And so that's what that's what we want to give to the Trenton and Mercer community is to say, for an 8-week course for a low cost with professional theater artists, that you don't have to be, you can be at any point in the artistic career, including just thought of it. So, you know, maybe you thought you had a love for painting, but you wanted to try acting. You know, maybe you've been stuck behind your desk for years and you just want to try. This is not this is the beginning of this, and down the road, if you find this is something you like, you know, we're a union house, and you join the union and you become a professional. Professional doesn't necessarily mean prolific. It just means you have acquired the amount of skills that you can be compensated for this. And I don't see why we wouldn't take the Trenton community into this, as opposed to having to go to, you know, reach outside of it.
And with that being said, gentlemen, thank you so much. Rich Bradford, David Lee Wright, Brishen Miller, and previously Cara Jonsson. Thank you so much. This has been the Trenton 365 show. And as always, folks, remember, it's about justice, peace, and humility.